Hey everybody, happy Saturday. Welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Do a little update. It's been a minute since I posted anything. First off, you can hear from my voice, I'm still recovering from I'm not sure what. Wasn't COVID. And except for one 2 hour stint with a 99-degree fever, I don't know. I think it was a sinus infection, but oh my god, because I can still feel it. You know, yeah. If it hurts, don't touch it, right? But I can still feel it in that right sinus. But the amount of that got pumped into my damn throat, it obliterated my voice. A couple days ago, the kids were arguing, and I tried to bellow at them, and it came out sounding like stepping on a mouse. They both looked up at me like, "What? Are you okay? Stop fighting!" You know. So anyway, apologies for the nasal tone. I don't know how it'll sound on there in my head. I'm like, God, it sounds like I'm talking through a toilet paper tube. But anyhow, it is spring break in Oregon, which means it's cold and rainy. Thank you, Mother Nature. I'm trying not to bitch. The drought in the West, it's real. We need this rain. We're in a better spot now than we've been in a decade. Here in Southern Oregon, it looks like I might actually have a place to use the boat and go fishing this summer, so that's cool. But at the same time, it's spring break, and I had a camping trip planned. We went, but boy, whew, that went off the rails there. Excuse me. So, damn. Merlin is about, I don't know, 45 minutes north of Phoenix here. It's on the very tip of the Rogue Valley, just above Grants Pass. Head west out of there, and one of the Josephine County parks, Indian Mary, is, what the hell is that, about 10 miles out of Merlin, so about 15 miles west of Interstate 5. Beautiful little park, tucked in on the Rogue River. You're just getting back into the Siskiyou Mountains back in there. And we've been there before, so I had made reservations about 3 months ago to go out, and we left Saturday. And I knew that there was some weather-ish forecasted, that's normal, but yeah, let's say I wasn't expecting kind of what happened. So Saturday we rolled out, got there, good. Sunday was a good day. My mom and her friend came out. We barbecued steaks over the campfire. Beautiful. Monday was kind of starting to overcast, and kind of really had cooled off. Just started raining about 2 in the afternoon, which figured because I wanted to barbecue again. So I just had gotten done with whatever the hell I cooked over the fire. Oh, hamburgers. Just hamburgers. Just had gotten done and it started to snow. Big, wet flakes. I mean, big, wet flakes. And that's fairly normal for this part of Oregon. If we're going to get snow, it's not going to be that dry, powdery crap 9 times out of 10. It's going to be the wet, heavy stuff. So, it did that for about an hour, and the auto dump feature on the awning, we heard that thing kick in. I'm like, ah, crap. So it was just cold enough that it was sticking to the awning and weighing that down. So we cleaned all that off, rolled the awning in. I said to hell with it, it should change to rain overnight based on what I had seen of the forecast before we left. So I didn't think a whole lot of it. Went to bed, and throughout the night, when I'd roll over, I could hear kind of a drip, drop, platter, splatter on the roof of the trailer, which, again, I thought it had done exactly what I thought, changed to rain, and those big oak trees that we were under were just dripping. Well, I got up in the morning, somewhere between 5:30 and 6. Fired off the percolator. I'm in the travel trailer, of course, and be clear, we're, wouldn't tent camp in this. Fired that percolator off on the stove and was just sitting there, and I just listening, and I heard what sounded like a branch or a tree falling. Not a huge one, but still. okay, whatever, trees fall in the woods. About 5 minutes later, I hear another one, a little bigger. Alright, that's a little less normal. So I flipped on the awning lights, got that nice LED strip there. I looked out the kitchen window. Wow, shit, there's still snow on the ground, but I didn't really see how much. Alright, fine. Slipped some shoes on, grabbed the jacket, grabbed the flashlight, opened the door. It's still snowing, those big ass wet flakes. And the minute I opened the door, I could see that. Oh, crap. Step out, and there's a good 6.5 inches of slushy wet, just bleh, everywhere. Okay. Walked in front of the truck, started lighting around the campground. I knew there was next to nobody else there, so I wasn't going to disturb anybody by just flashlighting. And I started seeing a branch there, a branch there. I'm like, oh, that's a whole tree there. And then I spotlighted back up the loop we were in that was primarily old oaks, and I could see a few branches scattered there. Like, this isn't good. And as I'm walking back to the trailer, a full-on dead tree. You can tell a dead tree if you've heard one fall in the woods, because just the way the branches break. But a big one. I mean, this would have been a bug kill fir. And I'm guessing it was somewhere between 12 and 16 inches at the base. Across the highway, just... And at, again, 5:45, 6 in the morning, whatever it was. That's louder than shit. Like, we're done. So I'm looking at all the crap we have laying around that's covered in snow and thinking, well, shit, it's going to take me, in daylight, it would take me an hour and a half to put all this crap away, unhook the utility hookups for the trailer. It's not going to be daylight for another hour because of this overcast. We're just going to leave. Like, I have read of at least 3 different instances this winter alone in this state, in Oregon, where people have been, driving in one of these winter storms with high winds. Tree blows down on the road, kills them. Now, I don't know what kind of unlucky odds you got to draw to be driving along on a highway at 55, 70, whatever, and have that timing perfect where a tree smashes your car and you in it. But knowing how travel trailers are built, those big ass old oak trees, if one of those had lost a limb onto the trailer, no. So I got everybody up, we grabbed some basic stuff and just started heading out. Now, as I started driving out of the campground, obviously the headlights of the truck were much better than my flashlight. I could see that there had been trees and limbs all throughout that campground that had come over. There was every bit of that 6.5 inches out on the road, if not a little bit more, but there were some ruts that had been cut because there was some logging going on up the hill, and those crazy bastards were actually still at it. I'd heard a log truck come through, which blew my mind. Kudos to them, or props, or whatever. They worked through some nasty crap that day. But anyway, got out of there, just came back down here. It's an hour away. I figured, you know what, when it's lunchtime and it warms up, it's got to be better. So we got back here, had some breakfast. I was watching the radar, and my plan should work. It's supposed to be a nice break around 10. Well, just right around a break around 11. Around 10:15, the park called us, or somebody from Josephine County Parks did. And it's like, hey, we noticed you left early, but your stuff's still there, and, kind of wondered what you were up to. And my wife told them, well, this was what was going on. We're going to come back when it gets a break. And they said, well, no, it just keeps getting worse out here. Great. But I'm looking at the radar. I know what we're going to get. Fine, whatever. Got the kids, dropped them off at my mom's. Headed back that way. And sure as crap, we got to Grants Pass, which is 2/3 of that trip, already done. And I see this break out to the west. Nice blue sky. Knew it wouldn't last, but what I was seeing on radar, it should have been about a 2 to 2.5 hour window that would give us plenty of time to get out. Now, I had planned ahead. Took a chainsaw, took a chain in case I needed to drag anything out of the road. I honestly didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. The kids, of course, were hyped up, before we dropped them off, talking about it. Oh, what if something hits the trailer? Blah, man. That's what we got insurance for, and we can't control that. But what we can control is if something hits us. So that's why we did what we did. But so I knew they were amped up, but had all that junk. We got out there, and we got just over the big bridge as it crosses the road. You got another mile and a half maybe before you drop down to the campground, and the road was holding still a fair amount of snow. Where the ruts had basically started to dry out, but the middle of the lane, the center of the road, the shoulder was still holding a fair amount of snow. And by the time we got down to the park, there was still good 4 inches of slushy snow, all the park roads. But as we came around that corner, we could see this stand of birch that was in a meadow on what would be the east side of the campground, had just laid over. I mean, we're talking close to a dozen trees just in that area. Now, thankfully, that big meadow was kind of designed to be a play area. It wasn't campsites and all of that. So that was good, but, saw that, get in past the ranger station, and there's a big ponderosa that had laid over, looking towards the river. I guess I'd be looking to the north. And, yeah, we made the left to go up to the loop we were at, and I could see branches all over the place that those oak trees had shat, and that's good. Oaks are a strong tree. Most of you guys are going to have some form of oak where you're at, so they're a strong wood. They can break, and when they do, that's when shit's gotten serious. And made that turn, swooped up, and at that point I'm like, oh great. I could barely see, define where the road actually was up to our trailer, but there was 2 branches, big, that at the base, and 20 feet worth of branch, blocking the road that I had to get out, cut, and drag the hell out of the way. And right where my truck had been parked in front of the trailer was yet another one of those big bastards, and it would have just obliterated the driver's side of the truck. Somehow, nothing touched the trailer. The bikes were fine. My picnic table canopy, that it was one of those kind of peak roof canopies that had the slant legs with the bug screen around it. That got obliterated. The snow load had just collapsed it, and by the time, I suppose when I rolled up the awning, I should have done something with that thing, but whatever, it is what it is. So, long story short, we got all that shit cleaned up. Took a little over an hour to get packed up, and power was out, water was off, of course, because the power was out. So, yeah, it was interesting. Got everything hitched up, got out of there, no problem, got home, but I got wet camping gear all over the place in the garage. It's dried out now, but I got to get it packed back in the trailer. So a nice rainy Saturday is very helpful for putting dry stuff away. Go figure. But anyhow, so that's why last weekend no videos went up. It was nice. That's the first time I've towed with the new truck any distance at all with that trailer. It's very competent. So I think I put one other video up, one of these updates, where I talked about what I had bought last October. It's a 2020 Chevy half-ton with that 3-liter diesel. And it was a tough decision to go from a 3/4 ton back down to a half. And I knew I was taking a risk in terms of capability and all of that. And I knew I'd be running that truck at or even slightly above the maximum gross vehicle weight rating. But I decided I'd chance it, and I thought it would be okay. And so this trip was good. And I was right. When you put it on the scales, the tongue weight of the trailer, and that's partly because of accessories I've added and junk I have on board that I might have to pare down, but the tongue weight with a full load of passengers puts us about 300 pounds above the gross vehicle weight rating. Now, people have been overloading half-tons since the beginning of time when half-tons were put out. So, again, I'm not I'm not losing any sleep about it. The truck handled it just fine. I've got an excellent weight distribution hitch with sway control and all that. It felt really good. I'll say I haven't towed with P-rated tires in a long time. That's what's standard on the half tons. They don't put the LTs, and that's for fuel economy, because the LTs are, 8 pounds a tire heavier. So I pumped those up to their maximum, and that helped with some of the push-pull that you get when a vehicle passes you. So it was barely perceptible. I was pretty impressed. Power-wise, holy crap. So it's real interesting. That little diesel, if you haven't driven one, they're amazing. The GM is not lying when they say that 90% of the maximum torque is available at 1500 RPM. That's no joke. That's 100% true. And I think the torque peak, or at 1000, I think it's 1000 RPM, and then the torque peak is, I think, 1800, and it's at 450 foot-pounds for this version, the LZ0, or excuse me, LM2. The LZ0 is the new one where they up the power this year. But anyway, it's there. Taking off from a stoplight, there's no lag. There's no hesitation whatsoever. The power is right there. It feels better than my old 6.6 Duramax, the LLY, in that 3/4 ton. Taking off feels 100% better. There is zero turbo lag. I mean, zero. There's no torque management. That was one thing I definitely felt. In addition to the turbo lag in that old truck, they had programmed the powertrain control module to not let it apply full power in first gear. Once you get that 1 to 2 shift, there would be a surge of power that would come on, but you had to be careful if you thought, oh, I can get in front of that guy, and you had to plan it, because if you mashed the pedal more than about halfway taking off, it just went into that torque limit mode, and until it would shift, you didn't have the full power there. So I surprised myself as I was getting on the on-ramp. At about 20 miles an hour, I put the hammer down, and I actually lost traction for a brief second with the trailer. Like, okay. But what's funny is you get all that torque down low, it gives it to you, and all that power is there, but there's not a lot left. So the last on-ramp, as we were coming home at about 40, and that was an uphill one. That was, one of the moderate uphill ones, because you got to climb to go up into Grants Pass there. 40 to 60, I think, was around, I didn't time it, but just what I felt, what I was looking at, it was probably around 15 to 18 seconds, which is not overly impressive. The trailer, 6,500 pounds with all the junk that was in it at that point, roughly 6,500 pounds. So well under the maximum. That truck's rated for 9,200. That would be a stretch, especially by the time you account for tongue weight. But anyway, I'm happy with it. It did what I needed to do. So the rest of the time I can enjoy that 22 to 24 miles per gallon that I can average driving to and from work, versus the old 14 and a half in that other truck. Diesel ain't coming down in prices, so. Anyhow, yeah, we're going to get back to business around here. Get some more stuff done before I take my summer break from chainsaw repairs. I've got the 1010 and the little XL packed up that I'd been working on several weeks ago. Just did not get around to those with everything else going on. I've got a box with 3 Mini-Macs in it. I'm a glutton for punishment. Richard sent 3 more, so we think we'll get at least 2, maybe 3 out of that. Maybe 3 for 3, we'll see. Got a 550 home light, and I don't remember what the other box is. Hard to say, can't remember, but that's okay. We'll get it going and get all that done, and someday when the rain lets up, we'll get back up on the hill and do some cutting. I mean, I still want to get this 710 automatic that's sitting over here out. I need to put a tank gasket in it, and then I want to do some more cutting with it up on the hill. And I haven't lost hope of a 58 or 60cc, competition this year, but I'm losing hope with where the weather is and everything else I've had going on. That may drift a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, we'll get down to some work here, and we'll catch you on the next one.